Hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. It is Friday, and we are back on our SCUM adventure. Hope everyone has been having a good week so far. The weekend is upon us, so that's always nice. Today it's probably gonna be a lot more chill. I don't know if anyone's gonna be joining me, so probably gonna do a more relaxed, safe. Gotta stay safe, you know? I do want to still look for, still want to look for, vehicles, but I don't know if we'll find any, especially when you're alone. The only way of properly bringing a vehicle back is if I walk out from base in my safe haven. Was it nighttime? Well, first time for everything, right? This whole week when we were streaming SCUM, it has been daytime. The past 2 streams have been daytime streams. So here we are. Oh, it's daytime. Okay, good. Alright. I guess I could bring a car jack with me. Like, that's not really the end of the world. I, however, have 0 bandages, so if, in any case, if I do get injured, I am not in a great position. Let's head to the kitchen. Grab a bunch of rags. And that's 8. Three, 2, 1. I can grab that 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Disinfect. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Put the 2 bottles out. Okay. Let's see. Scalpel. I'll leave it in the house. We don't really need the scalpel. Our guns are loaded. mostly loaded. We do have a tad bit of food. Got some lockpicks and screwdrivers. I'm gonna put these in my pants. These first aid aseptic rags into my pants. And let's put that in the quiver. And some in the shirt. We gotta spread them out, you know? I think my boots are empty, so let's put them in my boots as well. Now I noticed that we don't have any sewing kits. So I'll be sure to keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, let's clean out our Damascus blade. Wait, is that lag? There we go. That's a lot better. Okay, we have a perfectly fine blade. Let's grab a little bit of thread. Binding. There we go. Okay, we are off. So I am going to just wander out. I will set a poll here, I guess, or prediction. The prediction is prediction. Also, will Arrow find a vehicle? Will Arrow bring back a vehicle? Bring back a vehicle today. Yes. No. Let's do 30 minutes. There we go. Oh, I need to use the bathroom. A bathroom. Okay, and we are good to go. What is my accumulated fatigue at? Maximum stamina accumulated fatigue is very, very low. So, oh, I have 99, so it's not too bad. Okay. We're gonna jog ever so gently down towards the main road. We're gonna check how much ammo we have. Oh, very low. I'm so glad we checked. Okay. I'll put that in here. So we have 4 magazines that are full-ish. Yeah, 4 magazines that are full. Ooh, we got people believing that we are able to. Too bad I can't put like more than one prediction. I don't know if I wanted to put on whether or not I would die. Traveling alone is a lot more dangerous though. Like, a lot more dangerous. I should pause the music. I know that it's nice to have music playing in the background, but since I'm wandering, like I'm exploring, it's very dangerous. So I much rather pay attention to my surroundings and make sure I don't get jumped. Alright, there's 2 zombies over there. It's a path left for safety reasons. I don't think those puppets saw me. Yeah, we're fine. Oh, there's one over there. Didn't even notice that one. Sneaky. And that one saw me. Oh. Okay, one whack. Not the end of the world. Okay, gotta chop it up. The reason why I'm chopping up is because I require... Oh, that's another there's more. Where are the bones? I need to make a bone needle. Oh, there it is. So that I can make a makeshift sewing kit. There we go. Okay. Am I concerned and scared? Yes, yes I am. I don't like getting snuck up on. It's not fun. Also, I don't have a lot of food. Just gonna eat. I have some rice. Uncle Pong rice. I walk a lonely road, the only one that I have ever known. Don't know where it goes, but it's don't... I don't know the lyrics anymore. I walk alone, doo doo, doo doo, doo doo. I feel like I'm barely... Yeah, I'm not even halfway. I could path towards sardines. It might be easier if I path towards sardines, actually. You know what? We're pathing towards sardines. We don't really do that very often. We're gonna go towards sardines. And smelly? Wait, what's smelly? Fish. True. Fish does have a smell. I'm very... I don't want to say picky, but I guess picky. I'm very picky when it comes to fish. I like fish, but I don't like shellfish. There's a puppet at the distance. Just one? No. Is that another puppet at a distance? That puppet's glitched through the ground. And there's a puppet over there. How are you doing today? There's one more puppet over there. There's so many puppets that just, The reason why I want to go closer to the coast is that then the puppets will only be on, like, one end. I wouldn't have to deal with the other side as much. That is the plan. I don't know if that plan's gonna work. Trying, definitely trying. Oh, there's a rabbit that's been through here. I don't really use this function a lot because I don't really explore much in the forest. But yeah, that function does exist. My survival skills are decently high. It's on medium. My awareness is bad, so a lot of times I don't see things, but that's kind of corresponding to real life. My vision in real life is terrible. I am blind. I am very, very blind. Alright, we're almost at the waters. I see one puppet there, one puppet there. Seems like it's not too dangerous right now. I'm gonna path this way, hopefully to avoid combat. Though I think this one will see me, the other one will probably not. Okay, so neither of them noticed me. That's good, that's good. I want to keep a low profile, especially when you're traveling alone. It's really dangerous. No one's got your back. And these puppets, while they're kind of brainless, they do hurt. And numbers. They come in numbers. I have a gun and I don't really like using it because taking a shot would just attract a lot more attention than I initially started with. So, we are near sardines. Taking a chill walk. You know, I enjoy long walks along the beach. Is that the line? Slow, long walks along the beach side. Something like that. You can see it from here, but it's still kind of a distance away. I'm not sure if that's a boat. No, it's not a boat. But there could be a boat. As you can see, there are now puppets along the side, but it doesn't bother me because I'm walking very close to the shore. So I don't have any issues. I only have to defend myself for, like, this portion. I don't have to defend myself for this portion. Here we got one puppet over there. I feel like I'm walking pretty fast. And this is the slowest that I can walk. I wonder if walking speed increases over time. Maybe my character is just good at walking. Maybe. We're closing in, but I'm gonna walk closer to the shore for the exact same reason. Just because we're close doesn't mean it's safe already. That being said, when we get there, it's going to be quite dangerous because the puppets can be coming in any direction. And I would prefer to keep my gear dry. They're all dry right now. Wet gear increases the chance of trench feet, and that is not good. Oh, there's something I can loot here. Look at what's in here. Got a phone. Is that it? And that's it. Got a barrel here. Nothing in it. We're almost there. Just keep walking, just keep walking, just keep walking. But yeah, I like long walks along the beach, you know? It is what it is. We got one puppet over there. One over there. I hear there's one that's kind of close. Oh, that's not too far. Over there. Oh, you know, I just realized that the puppets in this game kind of feel like how Pokemon would be. When a trainer sees you, they come up to you, and then you get forced into a Pokemon battle. I see a car, but I'm pretty sure that's not a drivable car. I see a boat that's not a drivable boat. We'll see. You know, people might ask, why don't you just swim over? Because I have too much gear on me. And in this game, if you swim with too much gear, you will drown. Unless you take off all your gear, and then you have to try and dive and get your gear back. So, there's that too. Frankly, I don't want to do that. We're almost there, so it's not really a problem that I'm just slowly walking. No, I have to go around, like, this area, so that's a little bit inconvenient, but for what it's worth, we haven't encountered much puppet activity, so we good. We good. Can't tell from here. Not sure if I will find a working vehicle inside. But it's worth the shot, right? There's a small wall over there that kind of blocks off the area. We're gonna have to go through the gates. Or do we? Maybe we can just, like, parkour over the wall. That works too. I'm gonna speed up just a tad bit to save us a little bit of time since we're close and things are looking pretty decent. As soon as my stamina drops to 90... Oh, I can actually just stop. A boombox. Some nails. Nope. Did I consume? Please tell me. Okay, I did not consume. I almost drank seawater. I don't think that would have been very smart. Hazel. Should I take the boombox with me? It's very light. I'll drop it later if I don't need it. I mean, let's be real. I don't need it. It's a novelty item. Boombox in a post-apocalyptic world? It's got 83% battery though. So that is pretty good. Look at these giant rock slabs. It's weird. And we have arrived at sardines. I don't want to get my shoes wet, so I'm just going to go around the wall. Because there's a opening over here. I mean, I can always just take the proper gate. But why take the gate when you can parkour over the wall? Now, we are here. We have arrived at... I don't actually know what it's called, but my friends and I, we call it sardines. Call it sardines because you can get a lot of sardines here. Canned sardines, like a ton. Now that being said, it is a point of interest, so I do expect some puppets. Hopefully nothing too explosive. I don't really want to deal with that. There's no... If there are no vehicles here, I could always just walk. Where did we find a vehicle yesterday? Oh! Found a bike! I see a bike at a distance. It's like a mountain bike. That is nice. We have found our first vehicle. A bike is a vehicle. A bike is a vehicle, right? Or a transportation device. I like how the puppet didn't even come after me. It's like I didn't know how to register that there's a dude on a bike. I need to get this bike home in one piece. I'm gonna follow the road. There's a lot of uphill though. I want to try and keep it like above 60 so that when things get really bad, I can still get out. I'm gonna chill a little bit, let our stamina come back. Can I? Okay, so I can still shoot while I'm on a bike. That's good to know. Is this what a dexterity? 20767. I'm pretty sure this does not count towards motorcycling. We're almost we're almost onto the big roads. Once we're on the big roads, it should be a lot easier. We're gonna lie down to quickly recover. Cargo dropped in B1. You know, we could go for that cargo. Though, I don't have a lot of space. I guess I could go back and grab a different vehicle. Alright, it's settled. We're going home to grab a different vehicle. Can't outrun me on a bike, fam. That's not how it works. I know I'm not like super fit, but you can't outrun a bicycle. Yeah, I might have bad initial velocity, but you'll run out way before I run out. I said, as my stamina approaches the 40% mark. I'm going downhill. Downhill is always nice. We use this time to oh, I guess I can't edit it. But whoever voted that I would, predicted that I would, congratulations. I did find a vehicle. I don't know if the supply drop will still be there by the time I get there. So on this trip, we found a bike, a boombox. We're still alive. That's always good. I feel like my accumulated fatigue is like catching on though. Oh, oh my gosh, that scared me. Well, my endurance went up apparently. That really, really scared me. It made me jump a little. Let's lie down to recover. I wonder if my running is maxed out. $95 as my maximum stamina is actually pretty good. So whenever I'm holding the W, that's when my endurance builds. I'm home. The weather's kind of weird, eh? Alright, well, I'm gonna go put away the boombox. Um, I feel like this one's really, like, too far. So I don't really want to go for that one. I'm gonna take this moment to craft some lockpicks. Alright. The market is really loud. Is there an option? Okay, engine. There. That's a lot better. I don't think I can get to B1 in time. It's been quite some time now. Well, we could definitely go exploring. Cut through. A3 cargo drop. That's really far. Almost undoable. Unless I'll cut down. It's not impossible, but rushing to A3 It's gonna take some time. The weather's not looking too hot either. It starts to rain. It's not good for me. A3. I don't really want to go to A3. Like, it just seems really out of the way. We're going to A3, aren't we? We're going to A3. I don't know if it's a good idea, but... Okay, so this is my plan. Alright, this is my plan. I'm gonna go to the gas station, do a quick check, and head straight for A3. We're gonna cut through the tunnels, which is very dangerous, especially when you're playing alone. But... okay... is there anything that I should... so to a quick check. Hi there. Nothing special over here. Toolbox. Grab that toolbox, I guess. Okay, that's good enough. Let's go. Alright, we're going to try something a little bit crazy. We are going to go through the red path, which is definitely not a proper path. But I'm assuming because I'm on a bike, I should be able to pull it off. I don't know, but I will try. Alright. Moment of truth. The tunnels don't really bother me as much. It's the bridge that's gonna bother me. I know that the bridge is going to be a problem. It's a really, really steep tunnel though. That's like a long, long tunnel. I don't know if my lights are still on. Oh, they are. I don't know how to turn off the lights. My blind blanked out. It's not H. G? B? B? F? No. J? How do I turn off lights? Oh, that's definitely... X for light. Oh! Okay, thank you. I don't know why my mind blanked out. Like, I turned it on. And then I turned it... I don't remember how to turn it off. So, there's that. How are you doing today, Dank Honey Oil? That's a pretty dank name. But okay, this is such a terrible idea. This is such a terrible idea. This is a terrible idea. This is a terrible idea. I'm gonna stay very, very straight. Oh gosh. This would have never worked on a car. Oh gosh. Oops. Okay. Follow the road. I honestly don't know if I can get there in time. I think I have enough time. Because the one at B1 is still active. So, I should have some time. So, do you go by... Should I just call you, like, honey oil? Oil? Dink? Dank honey oil is a little bit long, but if that's what you prefer, I will call you dank honey oil. Okay, I'm gonna take the red. Just gonna follow the train tracks. Oh, is that a tunnel? That looks like a tunnel. It's a very short tunnel. That's not too bad. I have, however, burned half my gas. Dank or oil or any combination, just don't call me honey. Alright, sounds good. I'll call you oil. How long have you been playing SCUM? Ooh, small lag spike. Getting pretty annoyed by the sound of the dirt bike though. Oh, wow, that's a really, really long time. I've been playing around 0.6-ish. 0.6, 0.7, and then, you know, 0.8 came out. Not a huge fan of some of the changes. I really, really want them to bring back vehicle damages. You know, instead of adding new features, I'd much rather them fix old features. I miss the other vehicles a lot. Honestly, this dirt bike is doing wonders though. Not gonna lie, this dirt bike is doing a lot. Yeah, when point A rolled around, they're like, we want modular vehicles. I'm like, yeah, that's fine, but can you like keep the other vehicles while you slowly modularize them? One thing that really bothers me is that the modular vehicles aren't very modular. Every car looks the same. You know, the wagon looks like the wagon, the Lycan looks like the Lycan. Lycan, I don't even know. Okay. Seems safe. Doesn't seem like there's any puppets around. 12 minutes. We're good. We're good. You're right! Colors! Ah, I really wish that they had more color variations. It was a big thing. I ranted about this a while back. I was like, you know, you can, it's fine if you want to make things modular, but like add like a spray paint, you know, so that you can customize it. Or self spray paint. Not that you really spray paint, but like you don't spray paint a car. Not really. But it's just the lack of options makes things so much worse. The two cars look identical. And I don't think the wheels are interchangeable, right? I think the wheels are just it's on its own. Like this car fits this wheel, that car fits that wheel. They can't mix and match. Like I do hope that wheels can at least be interchangeable. And colors. I think colors is a big deal for me. It's not that I want to customize my vehicle by the color. It's more so I want to be able to have different color cars because every car right now is either the red one or the green lime green. All right, I would say this is a pretty good find. Got a military helmet. Ooh. I don't know if I can carry everything. I really don't know if I can carry everything. Oh, that does absolutely nothing on this server. So I'm playing on a PvE server because I'm not active enough to have to like constantly watch my back. Whenever I played on a PvP server, um, my inactivity was basically the downfall of my squad. We always lost everything because people would raid us when we're offline. But playing on a PvE server, they purposely made it so that the puppets do a lot more damage. And they spawn quite a lot. It's a little bit spooky to play alone. Am I going the right way? Oh, that's the road. Alright, okay. I kind of want an extreme helmet, but I know that going alone to the tracks is probably not the best idea. However, I do need to get gas, so I will be passing down the main road. Yeah, let's pass down the main road. Oil, if you could add one thing to the game, what would you add? Kind of want to check the city and see if there's anything more useful. There are puppets, though. Alright, guess I'm not stopping anytime soon. I'll stop here. Wait, why is that open? Seems empty. Just making sure there's no puppets around. Ooh, is that a gas canister? It is empty, unfortunately. Oh, missions, right, with the new NPC system. That's cool, cool. Let's grab that. Huh, I am carrying too much already. That's not good. Something to do once I get all the ammo and money in the world, easy surviving. Hello, Curiosity! Thank you for the Prime sub. Really appreciate it. It's a nice red bra. I will bring it for... Wait, I can't... It's too heavy? I wanna bring it for Vlad. Vlad would appreciate that. I wish we were able to jump out of vehicles. You know, like, I understand that, you know, obviously you would have to take damage for that, depending on how fast you're jumping. But having that option, you know, instead of just vehicle moving too fast, can't jump. Spray paint for cars, definitely. You know, I really should loot the police station. Standard white bra. Pretty damaged too. Alright, you know what? We're looting the police station since we're already here. Knock knock. Thank you. We got really damaged 0.45 ACP. We got decent 9mm tracer. Huh. Okay. Okay, let's so for those that are wondering why I take off my pants when um when I lockpick, because I like to use my bobby pins and my bobby pins before I actually like 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. I like to use my bobby pins before using my advanced lockpicks. That's why. Alright, we need 2 more. I feel like I can even drop some of these. This is for cooking, right? The Kikmovaka. That's mainly for cooking. I don't think I need it. Alright, we got a knife. We got ammo in not so good condition. We got ammo in not so good condition. I mean, 73 is... I guess 73 is something. It's not the end of the world to use 73%, but I prefer not to, you know? It's like, I don't want to risk gun jams. A1 kill... Oh! Is that a kill box in A1? It expires in 71 hours. Okay, 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 okay. Okay, 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 okay. Is that 0.45 ACP? Um, is there anything I could, I guess I can, that's 4 kilos. Huh. Let's move that up here. Move this down. And then point 0.2, point 0.2, boom, bam, bomb, pow. We cleared out 3 spaces. I guess I'll take that grenade with me. See, I'm at that stage where we just don't... Oh, I need to put my pants back on. I'm at that stage where we just don't have the space to pick up a lot of things. 9mm tracer. Ooh, that is really good tracer. Really, really good tracer. A backpack. Alright, I put this in my boots to make up. We have 1 space. We have 1 space. Okay. Clear. Alright, taking pants off again. I feel like there's probably like a better way of doing this, but this is just how I do it. Let's craft 2 lockpicks. Perfect. Perfect. Let's see what we got. Not so good shells. And flare cartridges. That's good. I'm not picking any of those up. We have space. Do you have drinks for me? Energy drink. Red Ghoul energy drink. That's actually really good. With the new fatigue, accumulated fatigue. Is there anyone? Oh! Wait. Scared me. Okay, we're good? Nobody else? Nobody else? Okay, we got two of them. Let's, you know the drill. Drop your pants. I hope there's nothing too good so I don't have to, like, sacrifice anything that I'm currently using. Holding, I mean. For free. Just the outer layer, you know? Bad ammo. M9 magazine. Okay, you know, we're good, we're good, we're good. We haven't lost anything. I'm not gonna loot anything else. Let's get out of here. Wait, actually, I want to check if there's another red ghoul. Coffee is bad. What's with all the things that we're finding to be in bad condition? It's weird. It doesn't really happen very often. Maybe they changed how things worked. Okay. I'm feeling pretty hot. Yeah, I know, I know, I know. You know what? There, I'll drop that jacket for now. I want to go check out that particular garage. And then I'm ready to move back onto the road. Come on. Yeah, I know. Ooh! Cheeky. Still alive? I just realized that is a drill press, which means I could potentially use up part of my stuff to repair the things. Okay, yeah, I know you're eyeing me. Come on, let's go. Oh, that was close. One more. There we go. Oh, we got a little bit of 2 units of gas. I am not bringing that. I am, however, going to use the drill press to fix up my sword. Did that, oh. You know what? I think I can drop this small toolbox. 26% accumulated fatigue. I am definitely carrying way too much weight. I'm carrying 37 kilograms when I'm only supposed to be carrying 24 kilograms because my character is not fit. Very good representation of myself, actually. Okay. Um... I've been always wanting to grab a kill box card for A1. 71 hours. When is 71 hours? Is that, how many days is 71 hours? One day is 24 hours, so... You know what? We should not waste, right? We shouldn't waste anything. Okay, we are getting back onto our bike. Let's go. Onto the tracks. So first the gas station, and then probably tracks because I want a helmet. Not the military helmet I picked up. I want a like the cool looking black extreme helmet. Taking a right this way? I think so. Can you imagine if exploding puppets appeared on the bridge? That'd be very, very brutal. Something that I really don't want to ever happen. I don't know if coding allows it, but it's not easy to dodge when the places are so narrow. I also want them to fix collision, because right now collision's not working properly. Ideally. Please. Collision. Bring back the vehicles. Let us color our vehicles. And, yeah, and vehicles taking damage. I don't know if it was intentional when they removed it. Right? Being able to run over them is just so much... Like, it's so much fun. Something a serial killer would say. I think I... Is that... Okay, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I was like, am I taking the wrong path? But... Many, all roads lead to Rome or something. I don't know the actual saying. But, you know, you can take multiple roads. Wait! Oh, it's locked! It's locked! Someone was here! Anyone online? That could explain... That's a lot of puppets in that area. I'm a little bit concerned. And I like how the temperature, the weather changed. Dun, 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 dun. Come on, one at a time, come on. I need to defecate? Wait, is that? Okay. Oh, no, 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 no. How did I miss that so many times? Okay, defecating time. I apologize for the crudeness of the stream. This is part of the game. I need to defecate. Wait, no! No, okay, okay, no, 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 okay, no, 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 this is not okay, this is not okay! Oh, they missed. Is that? Ow! Bruh, you think you're so tough? You think you're so tough? Huh? Jeez. That went a lot better than I expected. Like, a lot better than I expected. Could have gone a lot worse. Ah, okay. Well, I'm alive. And well. I lost a tad bit of blood. I may have burned most of my ammo. Got 3 shots. Okay, so let's just gonna do a clean reload. Yeah. I want to repair while I can. Let's go fuel this bike up. Oh hey look, it's a car. If only I wasn't playing alone. I would have someone able to, you know, bring the car home. The car is missing a wheel, I think? Why is it so slanted? It has an engine. It's missing a battery? It's missing a battery. Okay, so this car cannot be driven, right? Yeah, this car's not drivable. What do you want? That's what I thought. Oh, fresh bread. I should have made some space, right? Let's do this. Do that here. Got some bread. Bread is good. I like bread. Let's prepare some stuff. Maybe I can use up the repair kit, which I doubt because I didn't take that much damage. Cantaloupe melon. It's oh, it's actually relatively small. I wasn't expecting that. I'll put the melon in the car. Whoever wants it can have it. Maybe I can find a car battery here somewhere. I doubt it, but it's worth a shot. Okay, no car battery, unfortunately. Alright, let's fuel up the bike and head back. I am feeling pretty hot. I know. I know. It's not by choice. Alright, let's go. Oops, that was not very smooth. I guess since I'm here, might as well go check it out to see if I can find the helmet I'm looking for. I'm not really far from it, so it's worth checking out, I guess. It's like a extra, what's that called? What's that term called? An extra, point of interest? No, that's not the word I'm looking for. An extra waypoint? I don't know if waypoint's the right word. I can't think. Objective? Side mission? I can probably cut through, straight through like this. Probably not the best idea, but it'll probably save me a little bit of time, so... Whee! Oh, I'm already here. That was very fast. A little bit too fast. We got like electric vehicles that are like just less noisy. I've arrived at tracks. It is dead quiet here. I don't like it. I don't like that a lot. I don't know if this is where I'm supposed to find the helmets, but I guess I'll start digging. Is that a gun? That is a gun. An HS-9. I don't have space for it. So I don't really need that. I guess one crowbar is more than enough. Do that. There we go. Second search. I don't know if this is where I'm supposed. Meow 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 meow. About your PvE server, I'm playing a mixed server that has PvE zone, PvP, no raid zone, PvP, raid zone. I think, like... I don't know. I quite like the current server that I'm on. Even though it's like on the slightly more inactive side, I'm okay with that. Because I play it on a very like relaxed state. I'm playing on the PvE side, I see. Currently the server is restarting. It restarts twice a day, I think. I think it's at 9 and then it's at like 3 AM or something, or 3 PM. I forgot. But it restarts like 2 or 4 times in total. Every 3 hours? Ooh. 3 hours is pretty short. Alright, well, I think the server's back on, so we're jumping back on. Okay, and we are back, and the crutch was gone. There was a crutch there. Is that... Yep, that's a zombie. Puppet. Oh, it's a car battery. I kind of want to grab the car battery, but there's not really a point in grabbing said car battery. Like negative points of grabbing. Reasons because I don't have... I can't bring back that vehicle. But I guess I can always... I could always just have a battery. Alright, you know what? I don't need those ammo. Bread is good. I'm almost done with my rice anyways. So I guess I can trash the rice. No, I shouldn't waste food. You know what? We'll drop things based off what I don't need. We have a lot of these, a lot of those. Let's move that there. Move this up. It's like... Is that a grenade in your pants? Oh wait, that's not my pants. Hold on, let me fix that. Is that a grenade in my pants? Or are you just happy to see me? But anyways. Bad joke, bad joke. The toolbox here is 50 out of 50, so we're gonna switch over that toolbox. Car repair kit, 6 out of 20, 8 out of 20, this one's better. The wheel, I can't bring the wheel with me. I could fully repair that vehicle for absolutely no reason. I'm not going to. There's no reason for me to do that. This is not a place that you want to loot alone, too. It's just dangerous. There's so much going on. Let's check out the other side of the garage. Got a power drill, which is a good, important item. But we don't... Like, I have no space. What do I do? There's, like, things I don't want to play. There's a Leica door here. Like, I could easily fix up that car. Okay, let's see. Alright, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do. I am going to move said items. That includes the tire. Leave it in the car. Is that another tire? Oh no, that's a broken tire. Is it? Yeah. Just double checking. I added a rule during my playthroughs. We don't loot the same location twice during the same playthrough. Just because it breaks immersion if you think about it. Yeah, I get that things respawn, but there's not really a point of, like, camping the same area again and again. I think that kind of ruins the fun. So, I found someone that is able to join me. So what's going to happen is that I am going to leave these things right here. Guess I can... I honestly don't know if he'll still be here by the time that I'm back. But it's worth a shot. I'm gonna go pick them up. Where's it? Blue. Blue, 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 blue. I'm gonna go pick them up. And I'm going to drive to here. Grab what we need. And then go fix up the Leica. I heard something. I don't know if that was just me being out of shape or if I actually heard something. Can a drill be used as a weapon? Oh, it can. Let's not do that again. I feel like I burned all my stamina doing that. Oh my gosh. Pretty sure the wheel was always there. Is that a motorcycle wheel? That is a motorcycle wheel. Okay. I'm gonna put the wheel alongside all the car parts. Okay. If only you could, like, move a bike, like a motorcycle into a car, that'd be great. Should be a feature. I did not mean to go in here. I was going way too fast. Oh, okay, I clearly took a wrong turn, and I hear an exploding puppet on me. That was not nice. Okay, that was not very smart. Let's not do that ever again. Let's get out of here before I die. Okay, we are out of the area. We are out of the area. Vroom, vroom. Vroom, vroom. Oh. I could technically push for Z3. Whee! This is how dirt bikes should work. I like how the dirt bikes are like that. I think it's just the settings, but how are you doing, Griever? Car's still there. Exploding puppets over there. Let's not. Let's come back later. Okay, what's the fastest way? Just cutting right through, I think. I'm just gonna head straight east. Who cares about terrain? As I run into a tree. I think I'm gonna drive, actually, when I get to base. We're gonna pick up our squad mate, and then we're going to drive instead. One sec. Hello.
Hey, what's going
How are you?
on? Just recording.
So I'm gonna come pick you up
Yeah.
to help grab a car that I found.
Oh, for sure. Is there liquor?
Check the kitchen.
No,
Hmm?
there is no kitchen. No, no, none in the kitchen.
Oh, then unfortunately no, we don't. Or check the fridge.
No, there is no. There is beer.
Oh, okay. I'll be there in roughly 5 minutes.
Uh-huh.
You know, I have to say, the one upside about vehicles not taking damage is that dirt bikes actually feel like I'm riding a dirt bike.
Hmm.
Whee! I found a bicycle. I don't know if you saw.
Yeah.
I walked to Sardines, picked up the bike, and biked it back, and then I went to pick up a care package, and then I found a Leica that was only missing a battery, and then I found a battery. Well, actually, the Leica was missing a couple things, but the battery was what was really, like, essentially missing. Like, it could still drive as long as it has the battery. And then I found a battery and a right door.
Doors are challenging to deal with sometimes.
Anyways, I'm crossing the bridge right now. Be there soon. What happens if I run full speed into a trash bag? I should fly, right? I don't stop anymore, I think.
Probably nothing.
Whee! I fly. Fun stuff, fun stuff. Oh, oh! I found a key card for A1.
A1.
Mm-hmm. It's nice.
We're
A key
kinda
card that is
low.
actually somewhere we know where it is.
Kinda low now.
I'm home. Let me just unload real quick because I'm carrying way too much stuff.
Am I empty? Basically.
Gear, car repair, heavy tools. Heavy tools. Oh, I found you a red bra.
A red one?
A red one.
Okay. Keep it.
Okay. I am good to go.
Navigate.
We are going to the Z2 gas station. Z3 gas station. You know where that is?
Vaguely.
Okay, yeah. You can cut through. This bike can handle it.
Okay.
So how was your day?
Pretty good. Was productive day at work. To I know you don't really watch, but it's actually LCS Super Week. So there's a lot of games being played,
I see, I
and
see.
they're actually still going because today is the last day of the spring split, and they need to resolve tiebreakers.
Oh,
And right now is the like last game.
fair,
COG is playing 100 Thieves, so I'm actually kind of keeping an eye on it. But there was so much League, I fell asleep.
fair.
It's hard to watch LCS for like 9 hours.
Do you want to grab that package at Z1?
Sure. Wait, should we gas?
Uh, we can, I'd say let's go gas station and then package and then car.
Yeah, I think we're gonna run out of gas.
Yeah.
Oh, you can see it falling.
So we have a
Nice.
lot of time. It's like a solid 20 minutes. We're good, we're good.
Adventure. I'm assuming gas station should be clear.
Should be. I didn't really loot it actually, but
I mean,
we're not really here to
enemies
loot
though.
this. Yeah. Oh, enemies? This one is usually. I got it.
Wait,
Okay,
I
I
also
stopped
got
it.
it.
I stopped it just so we don't double down. All right. You know how to get there. Straightforward.
Package?
Yes, please.
Where's the smoke?
Uh, keep going east. So take like a turn. Yep. You are head a little bit more east. Turn a little bit more right. Okay, there. Do you see it? Right in front of you.
Yeah, now I see it. Now I see it. Thank you.
Perfect.
There is a lot of stuff we might not be able to carry it.
I know. Well, just grab whatever's important. Thanks for the ride.
I need to be.
Okay. 17 minutes. Oh. I didn't bring bobby pins.
Oh.
It's okay. I have another car battery. I have advanced lockpicks. I just don't like using them. A chainsaw.
You can't carry it.
I have it on my bag. On my back. Night vision!
Nice. Wait, are you not taking night vision?
Oh, I dropped it on the floor.
I'm just in here to help you carry. Oh, guns and ammo.
What gun?
Tech M9 with a holster, attachments, and magazines.
Oh, wait, what? I
What?
got kicked from the server.
Huh? What the hell?
I don't know, that was weird. Probably a bug.
I'm not taking sledgehammer.
Okay. I
I'll wait for
think
you.
that might have been a bug. Pretty sure I can go back in easily.
Wait for you.
Yeah, I can hear it. I'm back inside. I'm just loading.
There is still a sledgehammer inside. I picked up everything else.
Okay.
But my bags are completely full.
That's fine. We're going to go pick up a car, so
Mm-hmm.
I'll bring the sledgehammer just because I have the space.
Just because why not?
Yeah. You got everything, right?
Yep, absolutely everything. There's
Cool,
just a
cool, cool, cool,
sledgehammer on the
cool,
floor.
cool, 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 cool. Ready?
I wonder if we're gonna be slower now because my backpack is full.
Maybe, but no collision means no problem. You know how the red train tracks lead across the ocean through a very narrow bridge?
Yes?
I rode my bike through it. It was not fun.
I would assume a bike can get through it, yeah.
Yeah, it was fine. It was just very not fun.
Oh.
When you take off-road very seriously.
Wow.
See, old bikes can't do that. That's something I do like.
Oh, are these piles of gravel?
No, it's
Just rock?
it's a rock. It's those like olive trees, I believe.
Because if those were piles of gravel, that would be good to know.
True,
It's
but I
pretty
don't.
close to home.
Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of gravel in this area, I think. It does feel slower, actually.
Mm-hmm. I'm assuming it's because I'm just carrying a lot of stuff.
Maybe.
You can see that this backpack is like a bulky.
But I feel like I'm not sure if it actually is slower. Could be a placebo effect. Because the thing is, a dirt bike doesn't hold items like a car does. You know how when we were really, really packed with items on the car and it kind of
Yep.
started swerving everywhere?
Yep.
That kind of makes sense because the car weight actually increased. But the bike doesn't increase because there's no storage on the bike, you know?
Fair.
Do be careful. Last time when I passed by the gas station over here, there were a lot of puppets.
Do we need to get off?
We might, depending on how it is now. I also don't remember the dirt bike making such a annoying sound.
It's like the pitch is kind of low, so it's annoying. Oh my goodness. Doing this in first person is terrifying.
We're almost there, at the gas station.
Was the car is somewhere here?
Yeah, the car's here. You see it?
No. Oh,
Were you looking for a red car?
yeah. Do we have a wheel?
At the tracks, I left the wheel there. Okay, so I have. How do we? Can we? Let's. I'm gonna push this cart out. Oh wait, I can't. I don't have a car repair kit on me.
There.
Oh, you have one?
Yep.
Oh, perfect. Love. Oh, was that part of the things we looted?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Can I? I'm gonna roll the car left because there's no space here.
Do we need a car jack?
Uh,
I don't have one.
I have one, but you know what? Let's do this. Service. You know what? This is not. There we go.
Oh,
That's a lot better.
okay. It looked like you're so powerful that you kicked the car and it went.
There we go. There we go. Okay. Um, this car is drivable,
Okay.
but you might want to get gas. It looks so weird. Oh my god.
Okay, so because I'm missing a wheel, the braking is very hard. I see.
Fun stuff. Alright.
I guess I'll be right behind you.
Sure. We're taking a left from here. Watching you drive a slanted car is hilarious. I just hope the things are still there. They should be.
Uh, falling behind.
Oh, good.
Okay, all part of the plan.
What happened?
I did a barrel roll.
Smooth. I mean, if it works, it works. Doesn't matter how you get there, so long as you get there.
Alright, this is my maximum speed right now.
Oh, good. You're the one that's actually having a rough time, so thank you for driving that car. We're almost there.
Ah! Jesus.
You hit the...
Trees.
Oh, we're here.
Enemies here? Or is this clear?
There was when I left, but I would just assume there's always puppets here.
How thoroughly did you search tracks?
I didn't.
Oh, okay, so we can also loot.
Yeah, we can, especially now that we have a car here. I see one puppet to my right. I hear an exploding puppet to somewhere.
Am I gonna die?
Are you okay?
I'm running. I'm running.
The one chasing you is not an exploding puppet.
Oh, okay.
You good?
Okay. Exploding puppet down.
Okay. You okay?
Yep.
There's one more. There's one behind you! Oh. Okay, you good?
I'm slightly injured, but I should be fine.
Alright, so... Bad news is... the stuff disappeared.
Shit.
The good news is... we can loot this area and hopefully find more.
I need to bandage. One sec.
I got you. Oh, you're...
Mhm.
Alright, I got you. Oh, you're done. You're good.
So we're looking for car parts.
Right door. Oh, I found a left door. You have a left door, right?
I think so.
Okay, well, that's useless.
Are you being attacked?
Nope. Well, it was. I got rid of it. So if I looted these for like this repair area, does that mean I shouldn't loot this area anymore?
Don't know. Let me drop off stuff. Because
My things despawned. It feels bad. I found a right door and a wheel. You know? And I found more than one wheel. I found a wheel for potentially bike? I don't know.
How many inches diameter was the wheel?
I don't remember.
I
Watch my
think that's...
VOD at Arrows Stream Bots.
Jeez.
Okay, so when I looted this area, I didn't actually loot the area. I just glanced over it. I didn't loot, so this is fine. I'm not breaking any rules here. Okay, I will look for a wheel. And oh!
You okay?
Yeah, I opened the door and the zombie was there. They were waiting for me. Oh, I found the helmet I want. Yeah, got the helmet we were looking for. I look cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Okay.
Mahogany.
Mahogany.
Fine material. Very expensive. Mahogany.
Be sure to use the car as storage, by the way. Oh, I found antibiotics, your best friend.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Oof.
I'm good.
That was spooky.
I saw one and I took a shot at it and it did. And now I hear zombies. Ugh. Oh, oh, oh! Help.
Coming.
They're all behind me. Ow. Oh. You good?
Okay, I would appreciate it if my character actually shot.
There's more. I'm reloading. Oh gosh. Run past me, run past me, run past me.
Shit. Oh, I'm dead. Arrow.
I stop. I got you. 6%? I'm healing the bottom. I'm healing the bottom. 5%. Healing the middle. 4%. I got it. I got you. 3%. I got you.
Okay.
Oh. That's a lot of damage. I'm glad you
That is.
didn't die from that. Oh wait, I need to heal myself too. I'm bleeding as well. But I'm at 97. So I should be okay.
Wait, why am I still losing health?
No?
Okay, 3%.
You were already at 3%. You should lie down. Um,
That thing almost ripped my freaking arm off.
I'd be like that sometime. I got 7 shots. I got one more magazine left of 0.45. We should probably go for a gun run soon.
Yes.
Alright, do you need a sewing kit?
I have.
Okay. Cool. We're fine. We're fine. We're good. No one died. We're all in good shape. Well, some better than others. But we're
Did you
good.
find the wheel?
I will try and find a wheel. And try not to attract this much attention again. But I mean, what can you do? When you see an exploding puppet, you have to shoot it.
Yep.
Oh, 9.
Oh, my
Oh,
health is finally climbing up.
I found
Ah,
shotgun shells for you. The best ones. Slugs.
excellent.
Excellent. Excellent.
Okay, I see colors again, so I should be good to walk to the car.
Famous last words. Haven't seen a motorcycle jacket in so long. Good times.
Okay, 57%.
Yeah, should be fine for the most part.
Should be able to walk around now. Okay.
Just call out for help when you need it, you know?
Yep.
Okay.
Carrot. Oh, I found isopropyl alcohol.
I got hit here. How did I get hit? I wasn't very careful and I took 2 hits when I didn't have to.
Hmm. Need help?
I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Oh, I got absinthe.
Very good.
I know, we've been looking
Disinfection.
for those.
Yeah. We have lots of rags at home. Need to turn them into bandages.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Okay, I'm gonna lie down for like a minute to recover. Okay. Got a small gasoline canister. I remember why. I'm unable to drink whenever I have a helmet on these days. It's annoying
have a what?
when you have a helmet on.
Oh,
Like, I get it, but it's still annoying. Uh, I don't think this area has wheels.
You would think that this would be the best place to look for some.
I hear an exploding puppet. I know there's one nearby, somewhere.
Illidan is out there somewhere.
I mean, I did find 2 wheels earlier, but they despawned, so it's a little unfortunate. They were just lying there too. I put them by the pickup, the broken pickup, and they're gone. I didn't kill
I'm
the
100%.
exploding puppet, by the way, so just be careful if you head that way.
Okay.
You know, I'll drive the car back.
Sure.
So I'll deal with the 3-wheeled car. Yeah, unfortunately, all the stuff despawned. Maybe I can find some over here in the back. Did you loot behind that area?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I actually found some good shit.
Nice, nice, nice. Well, in that case, I think we can leave soon.
I want to kill that exploding puppet. Where is he?
Far side middle, I would say. Accumulated fatigue. That's my accumulated fatigue. I'm recovering from injury. Oh, because of the coffee I drank, I can hit 100% fatigue. Stamina. That's pretty cool. You found
Got
it?
him.
Alright, well, I leave the bike to you.
Sure. Okay, I'm coming back.
Okay, I'll wait for you in the car. I do like that quality of life change where when you start driving, you automatically close the door. I do
You
like that.
don't?
You do.
Oh,
Yeah.
you don't like it.
I like it.
You do.
I love it.
You like it.
I
Okay.
like it.
Don't most people close doors before they set off?
Yeah, but I'm just glad that you closed the door, you know?
Okay.
Should we bring that door with us? I'm bringing the door with us, because I feel like
Sure.
we might
Space.
be missing a door anyways. Do you think you're able to catch up to a 3-wheeled car?
Probably.
Okay,
I
then
think we're about to find out.
Oh man, the turns. The turns are so cursed.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Do you wanna loot?
Hmm?
There is a box, drop right here.
Sure, we have a car. It's on the way. On the road. On the map, at least.
Yep, I'm right in front of it.
Okay.
Go check the time now.
It's still green, I would say 10 plus. I can see why you struggled to keep up earlier.
9 minutes.
9 minutes is plenty of time. My record was like 2. I cleared one in 2 minutes. The real question is... Oh, perfect. I picked up a box of bobby pins. I was like, I think I'm out of picks, but... Don't take my pants. This is just how I lockpick. I take my pants off when I lockpick. If you want, you can craft those bobby pins into lockpicks.
Another chainsaw.
Okay.
This
A
was
grenade.
not very useful.
I never understood the purpose of Kikmovaka.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
The strong brandy made of fruit. Blood of enemies and lamentation of their women. Oh, here. These are for you. Very clean ammo. Ah.
Okay. Ready to go.
Let's go. I don't know if I can race you home, but I'm gonna try.
How?
When there's a will, there's a way. Where we're going, we don't need roads.
You sure?
No, not really. Do we have a spare wheel at base? I feel like we do,
At home?
right? Yeah.
We might.
Oh,
Since you put up the containers, I haven't opened them.
oh, okay, fair.
Want to stop for gas? There's puppets.
Do you need to stop for gas?
Yes?
Okay.
Dude, I'm riding a bike, I always need to stop for gas.
Do you need my help? Because I'm up in the mountains. Uh, I will go clear out the Z1 gas station for you if I get there first, I guess.
Shit!
You okay? You okay? Are you at the
No, I
gas
took an
station?
exploding puppet to the face.
I'm coming, I'm coming!
I'm dead. I'm dead. There's
No!
no point. No, I'm already dead.
What's
I
your
have
health at?
3 C3s.
I'm very close to you, I'm very close to you. What's your health at?
8. No, I'm dead. You're not gonna make it.
Yeah, but I should help you get your secure your stuff though.
Yeah.
Are there more
I
puppets?
don't think so, no. I
I
killed
see your name.
about 2 dozen. All the healings in the cart. Wait, why are you coming from that direction?
I told you, where I'm going, I don't need roads. No! Watching you die right in front of me is brutal.
Try to drop in sector. But the salt fields, how far is that?
Saltfields is, you know, it's on the other side of Z2.
Shit.
Wait, where did you drop Z1 or Z3 or Z2?
I'm in Z3.
In Z3? Where?
I'm still dropping. Try to get closer to the road. How do I describe this? I'm close to middle. Oh, there you are. Are you by my buddy?
I am. Are you
Okay.
on the sky?
No,
Reach for the sky. Wait, if you're already here, okay, then I don't need to search your body.
no, you don't.
I will go fill up your bike for you. Alright. I'm gonna start driving. Because I'm slow. Try not to get blown up again. Oh, do you need your katana? It's in the car. And your shotgun is in the car as well. Let me just bring
Wait,
that to you.
why? No.
Hey, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. Here. Wait, why are you wearing your prison? Oh, never mind, you just switched. I was like, I thought you got your stuff back.
Yeah, my stuff. Wait, where's the bike?
It's at the gas station.
Okay.
I filled it up for
My
you.
stuff, everything I normally wear
Mm-hmm.
is not, it does not replace prison clothes.
Oh, I see.
So if I wanted to, I could wear prison clothes over it.
Fair, 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 fair. Alright, well, I'm gonna head back.
Freaking motorcycles and like no tiny gas tank.
Try not to die.
I mean, if I need to stop for gas again.
Z1 is, you know, the Z1 gas station is usually a lot chiller though.
Yeah.
So far, I don't recall if I've ever seen an exploding puppet there. Watch there
Well,
be
this
two.
time
Watch there be two
in
when we get there.
Z3 there were 2.
I see, I see.
Yeah, the way that I died to exploding puppets was kind of difficult to avoid because when I shot the first one,
Uh-huh.
it died, but it didn't explode.
I
And
see.
then when the second one came close, it triggered the first one for a massive explosion.
Oh, I see.
It's like it stepped on the mine.
Mm-hmm. And the puppet said to the other, I will carry your flame, brother. I will blow Vlad to bits.
Yes, that is exactly what happened. Mm, 100 Thieves won the last game.
Oh my gosh. This car. How goes your journey?
I'm at the other gas station.
Is it clear?
Yeah, looks like. Checking for wheels.
You know, one thing I noticed is that the battery isn't filling properly. I don't know if it's because of the missing wheel.
Probably. Must be. Gonna search every car before I leave. Just on the off chance. There might be wheels. See you, man.
You're good?
There was a puppet upstairs, I shot it through a window.
I hear puppets upstairs, but I'm not gonna bother.
Fair. Okay, we're done. No wheel. So sad. I guess very small chance to keep an eye on the bridge. But other than that, going home.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. You checked all the cars, yeah?
Yep.
I just hope we have one at home. What's your top speed on the bike?
Around 107.
107?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty high.
Home.
I just crossed the bridge, heading home. The most complicated part of our storage, I would say, is the area that is on the side with the 9 cabinets.
Yeah.
Every 3 is like, it's like themed, you know? They're grouped, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
The first one is wardrobe, the middle one is like hunting and fishing, and the third one is car repairs. It's just like how we used to it, but back then it was inside. Separated by rooms. Now it's just side by side. For some reason they changed that we can't build inside. Woof!
I'm logging off.
Nice. Okay, thanks for playing and helping me get the car.
Yep.
Have a
Had to
good
be
night,
done.
man.
Yep.
Alright, so we were actually able to acquire 2 vehicles today. That is pretty nice. We got a bike and a 3-wheeled Leica. Keep forgetting the name of the car. Anyways, home, sweet, home. I wonder if we have an extra wheel. I do like how we have a left door that we can use on some of these. And we do have an extra wheel. Beautiful, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Okay, so let's put the wheel down. Let's grab this. Car repair kit. Service time. Ching. Install. And then end service. And grab that left door. I guess we need to grab the cart jack again. There we go. All right. I think this is a very good point to wrap up the stream. We were able to acquire that bike right there, that car right there, and all in one piece. We didn't die. So that's always good. Oh, the weekend is coming up. Be sure to stay safe, stay hydrated. I will be back most likely on Monday. Until then, have a good one. Thank you all for your support, and that will be it for tonight. Bye.